What if I told you that most of your decisions aren't really yours? What you buy, what you believe, who you trust, even what you think is normal, all of it is quietly shaped by invisible psychological forces that control how humans behave. And the truth is, 90% of people never realize it. They think they are making independent choices, when in reality, their minds are being subtly guided by powerful psychological triggers. Today, we're going to reveal the hidden psychology that controls most people's lives. And once you see it, you'll never look at human behavior the same way again. The human brain is incredibly powerful, but it has one major weakness. It loves shortcuts. Psychologists call these shortcuts mental heuristics, automatic thinking patterns that help us make quick decisions without using too much mental energy. Because the truth is, thinking deeply about every decision would exhaust the brain. So instead, our minds rely on patterns and signals from our environment. For example, if many people like something, we assume it must be good. If someone looks confident, we assume they must be competent. If an idea is repeated often enough, we start believing it. These shortcuts help us survive, but they also make us extremely predictable. And once someone understands these patterns, they can influence how people think and behave. One of the most powerful psychological forces controlling people is called social proof. This is the human tendency to follow what others are doing. Imagine walking past two restaurants. One is empty, the other is full of people. Most people will choose the crowded restaurant, even if they know nothing about the food. Why? Because our brains assume if many people are doing it, it must be the right choice. This is why viral trends explode on social media. Products sell better when they show thousands of reviews. People follow the opinions of the majority. It's not always logic driving decisions. Often it's simply the desire to belong. Humans evolved in tribes, and for thousands of years, being accepted by the group meant survival. So even today, our brains are wired to follow the crowd, even when the crowd is wrong. Another powerful psychological trigger is authority. People tend to believe and obey individuals who appear to have status, expertise, or power. This is why doctors in white coats are instantly trusted experts on television. Influence. Public opinion leaders can convince millions of people to follow them. In fact, one famous psychological experiment revealed something shocking. Participants were instructed by an authority figure to deliver increasing electric shocks to another person during a study, even when the victim appeared to be in severe pain. Most participants continued following orders simply because an authority figure told them to. This experiment revealed a disturbing truth about human nature. Many people will override their own moral judgment if someone in authority tells them what to do, not because they are evil, but because their minds are conditioned to obey perceived power. Another psychological force that controls people is scarcity. Humans place higher value on things that appear limited. When something seems rare, it suddenly feels more important. Think about phrases like limited time offer, only 3 left in stock, offer expires tonight. These messages trigger a deep psychological fear, the fear of missing out. And when people feel that something might disappear, they rush to act quickly, sometimes without even thinking. This principle is used everywhere. Marketing, sales, online shopping, even social media trends, because when people believe something is scarce, they automatically assume it must be valuable. Most people believe they think independently, but the truth is, much of what we think comes from subtle influence around us. The media we consume, the opinions of our friends, the culture we grow up in, the information repeated over and over again. Over time, these influences shape our beliefs so gradually that we barely notice it happening. This is called psychological conditioning. It's how ideas spread through societies, and it's why two people from different environments can see the same situation completely differently, not because one is smarter, but because their minds were shaped by different psychological influences. The good news is this: once you understand these psychological forces, they lose much of their power over you. You begin to notice when someone is using social pressure, authority, influence, scarcity tactics, emotional manipulation. Instead of reacting automatically, you pause, you analyze, you think critically, and that simple pause separates the few people who think independently from the majority, who simply react. Because real mental freedom begins when you recognize the invisible forces shaping human behavior. The hidden psychology controlling most people isn't magic. It's simply the result of how the human brain evolved. We follow crowds, we trust authority, we chase what feels scarce, and we absorb ideas from our environment without realizing it. But the moment you understand these patterns, you stop being controlled by them, and you begin to see the world and human behavior with a completely new level of awareness, because the most powerful mind is the one that understands how influence works.